Puddle Lane, the Griffle and the Thief. The Griffle and the Thief. One day just before Christmas, Sarah and Davy went down Puddle Lane. Sarah and Davy went down Puddle Lane. Sarah and Davy were going to see their grandmother. Grandmother lived in Bread Street. She had a white house with a green door. Sarah and Davy went to see grandmother. Grandmother lived in a white house with a green door. Grandmother was very glad to see them. She gave them each a little cake, and then they sat down to play games. Then grandmother read a story, and then it was time to have dinner. Grandmother gave Sarah and Davy a little cake. After dinner, it was time to go home. Grandmother went to the cupboard. She took out two baskets. Grandmother went to the cupboard. She took out two baskets. It's time to go home, said Grandmother. Take these baskets home with you. There are Christmas presents for you all. One of the presents is for your mother. It is a beautiful golden brooch. My mother gave it to me when I was a girl. So you must be very careful with the baskets. Go straight home. Don't stop on the way. Grandmother said, it's time to go home. Take the baskets home with you. Don't stop on the way. Sarah and Davy each took one of the baskets. They said goodbye to Grandmother and started for home. Sarah and Davy took the baskets. But as they went along, they came to a shop. The shop window was full of things for Christmas. There were plum puddings and Christmas cakes. There were boxes of sweets. There were nuts and dates and piles of fruit. Sarah and Davy stopped to look in the shop window, and they stayed there for a very long time. At last, Sarah said, we must go home. Grandmother said, don't stop on the way. Sarah and Davy saw a shop window. They stopped to look in the window. Sarah said, it's time to go home. Grandmother said, don't stop on the way. They hadn't gone far when they came to a toy shop. The shop window was full of things for Christmas. There were castles and soldiers. There were all kinds of games. There were dolls and bears and monsters. One of the monsters looked a bit like the Griffle. Sarah and Davy stopped to look in the shop window. They stayed for a very long time. At last, Davy said, it's time to go home. Grandmother said, don't stop on the way. Sarah and Davy saw a toy shop. They stopped to look in the window. Davy said, "It's time to go home." Grandmother said, "Don't stop on the way." As they came to the square, they saw a big Christmas tree with colored balls and lanterns hanging from the branches. "It must have been put up while we were having dinner," said Sarah. The lanterns were all lit, and they shone red and blue and green and yellow. Sarah and Davy stopped to look at the tree, and they stayed for a very long time. At last, Sarah said, "It's time to go home." Grandmother said, "Don't stop on the way," and we have stopped 3 times. Sarah and Davy saw a tree. They stopped to look at the tree. Sarah said, "It's time to go home." Grandmother said, "Don't stop on the way," and we have stopped 3 times. They ran across the square and down the street which led to Puddle Lane. The sun was beginning to set. They hurried along because they knew that they were late. They didn't see 2 green ears up in the air at the corner of the lane. Sarah and Davy ran. They came to Puddle Lane. They didn't see 2 green ears. Puddle Lane. As they turned the corner into Puddle Lane, they saw a big man standing there. They had never seen him before. He looked very fierce. "What have you got there?" he demanded. "What have you got in those baskets?" Sarah and Davy stopped. "Give me the baskets," said the man. "We won't," said Sarah. She took a step back. They saw a big man in Puddle Lane. The man said, "Give me the baskets." "We won't," said Sarah. "You can't have our baskets," she said. "They belong to grandmother, and they belong to us." "Give me the baskets," said the big man. "Hand them over." "We won't," said Davy. "You're a thief." The big man said, "Give me the baskets." "We won't," said Davy. "If you won't give them to me, I'll take them," said the man, and he stepped forward to take the baskets. But as he reached out to seize the baskets, Sarah saw a long green tail. "It's the Griffle," said Sarah. "The Griffle is here. The Griffle will help us." Sarah saw a long green tail. "It's the Griffle," said Sarah. "The Griffle is here. The Griffle will help us." The tail jerked, and the big man fell over. He fell flat on his face. As he got up again, he saw the Griffle. The green Griffle was standing there by the children. "Oh, Griffle," said Davy, "I'm so glad to see you." The big man fell over. As he got up again, he saw the Griffle. "Oh, Griffle," said Davy, "I'm so glad to see you." The big man didn't stop to talk to the Griffle. He let out a loud yell and fled. He ran away as fast as he could. He ran faster than he had ever run in his life before. He ran so fast he fell over again, but he got up and ran on. The big man ran away. He ran so fast he fell over again, but he got up and ran on. The Griffle turned to the children. He won't come back to Puddle Lane again, he said. Oh, thank you, Griffle, said Sarah. I'm so glad you were there, said Davy. He won't come back to Puddle Lane again, said the Griffle. I'm so glad you were there, said Davy. The Griffle went back up Puddle Lane with Sarah and Davy. He waited until they had opened the door of their house. Then he vanished. The Griffle went back up Puddle Lane with Sarah and Davy. Sarah and Davy had a wonderful Christmas. Grandmother had sent all kinds of presents. She must have been to the toy shop. And she had made a big Christmas cake for them. Sarah cut a large slice of Christmas cake for the Griffle. She went up to the end of the lane with Davy, and they put the cake on the garden wall. They didn't see the Griffle take the cake, but when they went back an hour later, the cake had gone. Sarah and Davy put the cake on the garden wall for the Griffle. I spy with my little eye something beginning with G. Grandma. I spy with my little eye something beginning with C. Cat. Chair. Cupcake. I spy with my little eye something beginning with D. Dog. Dominoes. I spy with my little eye something beginning with M. Marbles. I spy with my little eye something beginning with S. Stool. Shawl. I spy with my little eye something beginning with L. Lamp. I spy with my little eye something beginning with D. Door. I spy with my little eye something beginning with W. Window.